But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 32. Wednesday, about 1 inch of snow with a high near 35. And Thursday, partly cloudy with a high near 40. Get ready for Thanksgiving at Ferndale Market's Turkey Fest beginning this Friday in Cannon Falls. Reserve your fresh, never frozen turkey at Ferndale Market's Turkey Fest while enjoying local food samples and other great festivities. That's fresh, never frozen turkeys that make holiday prep easy with Ferndale Market.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us, share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday evening. Before we get any further, our dear friend Brett needs to shut his damn mouth about this snow that if you listen to the weather right before our show started, he said there's going to be an inch of snow. Now, I don't hold Mother Nature responsible for this. I hold Brett responsible for this. And there's going to be maybe fisticuffs on Wednesday when I see him for this upsetting news. I mean, what a way to mark a show. I get things started on the wrong foot with his inch of snow. That's BS. I refuse. Okay, folks, I refuse. No, thank you. All things aside, I mean, I suppose it is November, and I suppose that sort of thing does happen. I'll make sure I'll get a shovel out or something like that. But we are going to have a great show tonight. It's always fun when we bring on Char Savoie, who is the owner of Charvinity. We're going to be talking a little bit about her next event that is going to be coming up in December. And also we're talking astrology tonight, which I'm going to admit Char talks to me quite a bit about, but I'm not very good with understanding it. And I'm hoping that because she is so good at talking about and breaking things down, that she can help folks like myself, who is a little bit more deaf to that than a lot of other concepts, that I can understand things a little bit more. And I'm really excited to have these conversations because they're always so much fun. And I say, if you have any questions for Char, and we didn't clear this before the show, if you have any questions for Char, you can put them into the comments. I'm sure she's more than happy to answer questions. Of course, we didn't talk about this at all. Char, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be back. It seems like it's been a while, other than the live investigation on Halloween.
Right. Now, I got to say, and Lisa's right, I didn't really twig this. You have bangs. Look at that.
I do.
It looks fantastic. It looks absolutely
thank you.
fantastic. Yeah, no, very, very nice. And then I saw you when you came on, and it was like, something's different. But then, of course, Lisa, she's just like, this is what it is. And I'm glad that someone knows what's going on around here. Yeah, this is the first time I've been in my own studio since before Halloween. So I'm really excited to be back in here. I had to take the studio apart for our Halloween at 300 Clifton, then for election night, all that stuff. But I'll tell you something, Char. I appear to be missing once again one of my yellow wind up extension cord thingies, and I think that I am personally populating the planet with these wind up cord things on my dime. I don't mind saying it might be in
Right.
my truck. I'm going to take another look, but when I'm looking around, I'm like, here we go again. That's, I think, total number 3 now. So that's great. That's really awesome. For folks that don't know, I have this little wind up cord thing that's like for extension cords and stuff. I take it on location. I have them here at my house, and I had lost one. I actually lost one just a couple months ago at Char's last event. That's because I just didn't see it and I didn't take it with me. I have those problems. And then all this moving around and stuff and all these events that we have done since Halloween, and it seems to gone away again. So I don't know, Char. I don't know what to tell you. Not that you
Well,
care.
Well, I'm going to say, of all the times that we go and do things, you always say at the end of everything, I'm just going to leave it all here. So you're starting to manifest the fact that you're leaving stuff everywhere.
And I've now upped my game. I think I said, I don't remember who I said it to, but not only let's leave it here, but let's start it on fire. So maybe I really do need to be very careful with all this. So here's the thing. We want to talk a little bit about astrology tonight. And, one thing that I've noticed, I mean, I know that you have been very keen and paying very close attention to like the likes of Maria Shaw. You've been, you've been doing a lot of work like that. But, I know astrology can be very complex. And I just have to say, I've always felt the way that you explain it to me is somebody who has picked it up. Could you say fairly quickly, so to speak? Because it just seems like that this is something that you are so good at rattling off and talking about where the different, if I sound stupid, houses are, and where everything is and what's happening and where things are going and stuff. And I just remember the Char I met all those years ago at Paracons and where you had worked previously. We never talked about astrology. So a little bit of like, is this relatively recent, or has this always been with you?
I think I've always kind of liked it. I really didn't know how to get into it. And honestly, the reason I got into astrology was I ended up following Maria Shaw because somebody referred her for being a good astrologer. And she is by far a fantastic astrologer. She lives and breathes this, and it just oozes out of her with ease. So
Right.
I've picked it up from her, listening to her and hearing how she breaks it down so simple. It just makes it easier because it is kind of complicated and it is very layered.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it. And by no means would I call myself an astrologist, but I love it. And I don't never seem to, I always find that there's something true in the information in the astrology and it makes sense. And so in this crazy little world of mine that never makes sense, to have something finally make sense just kind of is like, that's my jam,
It is, and one of the things that I and folks, everything I'm talking about tonight, if I get it right, it's because I've listened to Char. Okay, if I get it wrong, it's because I didn't listen well enough to Char. And the the thing about that is the one thing that I've found that you've enjoyed, and that when you're talking to me about it, I really enjoy, and that's simply the themes that you find in astrology. And sometimes that will take it takes what, sometimes it could be within years and years and years and years, but there's still those themes that you cannot deny.
Absolutely. And so one of the things, if to kind of just give you a basic idea for those of you that don't really quite understand astrology, it's the zodiac signs, and then it plays out in your life. We have what's called a natal chart, and it's pretty much a snapshot of the exact moment you were born and where all the planets were in the sky at that time. And so then everybody has a different one, obviously, unless somebody was born at the exact same time in the exact same spot. But that, and then that kind of lays out your whole life. It's like that guidebook that they say you don't have for life. Literally, that's your guidebook. It tells you what's going on in your life, why things are happening the way they are, and things like that. So it's really important when you get an astrology chart done that you have your exact time of birth and where you were born. For a simple reason is because we have the big three, and that's your sun sign. So I'm born September, so I'm a Virgo. My rising sign is the hour that I was born, and my moon sign is the minute I was born. So that's why it's important to know the exact time, because then that kind of tells you who you are. So it's kind of how it was explained to me, which kind of makes sense in a little way, is so if I have a house, if people look at it, my outward appearance, the Virgo. So if you come to a class of mine, you're going to get handouts and PowerPoints and all the details, right? Which a Virgo
Right.
is.
Yep.
And so that's kind of my outward thing is the Virgo. But then the Scorpio, my rising sign, is kind of more that underneath layer of when people get to know me a little bit. That's when the sassiness comes out and the sarcasm and that kind of stuff.
Never seen that.
Right. No.
Never
No.
seen that.
And then the Capricorn part of me, which is my moon sign, which is then the really deep, dark place where I hold all my secrets. And then that's where people that know me the most will see that determination that, want to get things done and just keep going and going and going until I get it. So you have these layers to you depending on those three signs. And so that's kind of how it plays out a little bit. And you can kind of see them when you start to understand what the signs are and you look at people like, oh, there's your rising sign. Oh, there's your moon. You can kind of start to see the differences a little bit. And they all kind of meld together. It's not like you have three personalities, but they do kind of meld together. But you kind of get to see how you kind of get formed into these three kind of characteristics, so to speak.
It's almost like a filing cabinet that you're filing different parts that doesn't mean that they're not connected, but they need to be in separate areas.
Yeah. It's interesting, and like I said, there's so many layers to it as well, because then, like I said, you have the natal chart, which it looks like a pie basically, and it's divided into 12 what we call houses, and each house represents a different part of your life, which is a part of your personality and how you do things. And so depending on where those planets end up being in that chart is also how it plays out for you as well. So it's kind of almost like you have the script and now you have the key players and then the supporting actors that come in and help create what is your life. And so usually your rising sign is what's in your first house, which is all about yourself. So my rising sign is Scorpio. So it's all about me. So if I get anything about me and how I feel about me or how things are perceived about me or other like that, my Scorpio takes over. It's like, nope, we're going to shut that down real quick.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
There's a lot. It does, but there's a lot to it. I mean, it's very frightening in a sense of trying to understand how it works. And I don't mean frightening like with the information itself, because it's very fascinating. But you got to think like, I mean, when say that we have people listening tonight and they are just like, they're really intrigued by what you're saying. And they're like, where do I even start to learn about how I could maybe have the same knowledge that Char does? I mean, where does someone start in that situation?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of resources and books, but honestly, the person I learned a lot from was Maria Shaw, just because you'll get into like terminology of a conjunct and sextiles and squares and oppositions, and then you're like, oh my God, what is all of this again? And she puts out information every week about the energy, and she breaks it down so simple that it makes sense, that you don't have to have all that knowledge of the vocabulary of part of what's going on. If she says there's something opposition, she'll tell you what that means exactly, not just like you need to figure that out. But so to me, Maria Shaw is my go-to person all the time. I listen to everything that she says, and she's never been wrong. She'll tell me something and I'm like, oh, okay, yep, I see it. So but it's just taking, resources, looking online, things like that. But she is a really good resource.
Now Denise says the simple way of handling it is just to give you a call, and you'll take care of everything. Does that seem about right? Or
well, I certainly will try. I mean, I will try to help. I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. I can do very, very basic things. So, there's so many, like I said, there are so many depths to astrology that it just goes, there's so many things to know about. I can only go so far. So I can help you with the basic stuff and help you understand like the basic parts of it, basically.
That's a lot. And but it's so fascinating, and in my mind, the question really comes down to like, who first, how did this like manifest itself in the in on Earth for people to know what to follow, like to know the rules, to know how it works, you know what I mean? Because they had to get it somewhere. And is that just like knowledge that people were born with how many years ago, and over time that's become more selective or whatever? It's so interesting to me of like the origins of this.
Well, it goes way, way back, Greek
Right.
mythology with the gods, and they only had the stars to look at. That's how they would
Yeah.
tell the seasons and the moons, and what was happening, and when to harvest and when to plant, and they would tell when things were happening. And it was a long time ago, and there was a long, I forget the year, but at first they thought the Earth was the center of the universe, which some people still do.
Right.
But
Some do.
right. So they were confused when retrogrades would happen, and we can talk about that a little bit because that's kind of important.
Yes.
But because in the sky it looks like it's going backwards, and they're like, how can that be possible? But once they figured out that the sun was the center, it made more sense. And so this is way back, thousands of years ago that people were figuring this out. So it's just kind of interesting to me how they just knew it, they did it. It was just a fact of life. They didn't have Google, they didn't have anything else to tell them what was happening. So that's just
No.
how they did stuff.
No, absolutely. And that's exactly what I was kind of wondering about, because it's, it just seems so, just effortless, and that it's something that hasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, hasn't really changed either. It's not like, people find out new stuff. We find out that the Earth is not the center of the universe. So we get through stuff like that. But what was set out thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago is still what we go by today.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, the stars are the same, the constellations are the same. None of
Right.
that's changed. And so the interesting part about it, and was really fascinating to me to find out, is because I couldn't figure this out for the longest time. But like I said, you have the zodiac signs, you have the constellations, you have the planets. And so again, they're kind of like players in the game. And to make it simpler, when we think of like football or baseball or something like that, we have different teams, and each team has a different mascot or whatever they are, but they all have a different game plan. And like when the Vikings are going to play certain teams, we know how it's going to go. We know that their team aspect is this way or that way. Well, we know how it goes all the time, right? But we know different teams have different aspects to them. Like, well, if we go against a certain team, we know how it's going to play out. We know they're really good. We know their stats. We know everything about the players on the team. It's the same way with astrology. We know the stats about the players in the sky. And so when you have a planet and it's going into a sign, that planet has a characteristic and aspects, and then the sign has characteristic aspects. When they come to two, what's the shenanigans that they're going to do? And so they always circle back around through everything. So you can go back and look, when this planet was in this zodiac sign last time, what happened? And this is how people make predictions, because there is patterns.
And is planet shenanigans an official astrology term, or is this a charism?
This is a charism.
I know it. I totally get it. Before we head off to break, Linda Judd says, how much of the show is live? Linda, you never disappoint. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. Why don't we go ahead and take our first break? When we come back, We are going to continue our conversation about astrology with Char Savoie of Charvinity. And then from there, we are going to talk about her next upcoming event. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Lilliput in Coon Rapids dares you to take part in their Haunted Mansion escape room. 100 years ago, a family suffered a tragic incident. Your team is brought in to find out what happened that night, find proof of the supernatural, and help the spirits find peace. Are you up for the task? This incredible escape room is filling up fast, so book now. Also, a perfect outing for work team building. Go to lilliput.net now to book your experience today. Greg Bakun here. Like many of you, I still collect physical books, and not just any books, but books about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. I go to Megas Books and Herbs, located in the Arts District of Minneapolis, but books are only part of it. Megas Books and Herbs offers crystals, jewelry, herbs, oils, and consultations on how to use this stuff. Check out their in-store classes and events too. This place has everything to expand your horizons. Located at 1848 Central Avenue, Minneapolis, or visit megasbooks.com.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Recently, I had a large order of custom designed t-shirts that needed to be turned around in a hurry. I knew exactly who to call. Grady Gear Company. Grady Gear Company is a local company that handles large and small custom clothing and apparel orders. I had a lot of questions from color, shirt quality, and what sizes we needed. Grady Gear Company was great to work with. They got us what we needed on time, and now everybody's looking great around the station in their new gear. Start your order at GradyGearCo.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are talking about astrology with Char Savoie of Charvinity. And before we get back to astrology, Char, you have an event coming up in December that we should just touch on. Why don't we talk about that real fast?
Yeah, I'm super excited. So December 7th and 8th over at the Doubletree by Hilton Minneapolis Airport Hotel at 2020 American Boulevard. So we'll be there both days, 9 to 5, teaming up with Maria Shaw again for her holiday convention. So she'll be there. She'll be doing her 2025 predictions by zodiac signs. So what does it mean for you? She'll break it down exactly. And that's always a huge hit. Get all the information you need for next year. According to your sign. She also does a crossing over gallery, which is just like a big gallery talking to loved ones on the other side. You'll be doing a wonderful presentation I'm super excited about. I'll let you tell us what that is. We also go ahead.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted me to tell you now what it's about, or I mean, it's your show. You can do do whatever you want. Because I've clearly lost the reins of it, so that's cool. It's fine. It's fine. No, go ahead. Finish about the. We'll
Oh.
just finish with the grand finale of what I'm going to be doing then.
There you go. That's why I was waiting for you to do the best at the end. So,
Right, sure.
oh my goodness. So we'll have like a ton of psychics, mediums, tarot card readers, oracle card readers, palmistry, past life regression, healers, just all kinds of wonderful providers that are doing services. Readings start at $20. And Casey is going to do a presentation about QHHT theory, quantum healing technique. So I'm really excited about that. And Terry is going to be talking more about human design. So we have a lot of really good stuff. We have free giveaways. There's a drawing for an amazing gift basket at the end. I love these weekends. They're so much fun, and I'm just excited to get back out there and see everybody again.
Absolutely. They are a lot of fun. I will be talking, and my little piece is called Careful What You Wish For. And it's about setting intentions and what happens when you set intentions that you're not thinking through fully. And we're going to be talking about doing so when you want to see Bigfoot or aliens. It's going to be amazing. Yes, absolutely. I'm glad that we all agree on that. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about out there, but that's just one of many things. Also, I will be emceeing the meet the practitioner part on Saturday morning as well. So I mean, I'm clearly going to set the tone for the day, is how that works. No one else is. It's all me, and I say this every time, but I love the fact that these people, the practitioners, they're so in sync. They're so helpful to each other. It's a great collaboration, a great event. So, it's, if you haven't come out there yet, you really should do so. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good time. So,
It is.
and I'll be giving away business cards. So yeah, I mean, if you needed something to, kind of push you over the limit to go, I will be giving away business cards because I have.
Now who's taking over whose show?
I have 700 of them. So if we here's the deal. If we give away all 700 business cards at the end of Charvinity's event, then that means 700 business cards have been given away. Okay, so they got that figured out. So Cynthia says, hi, Greg and Char. Wonderful having you both on tonight. It's make it sound like it's her show now. This is the second podcast today I've seen Greg on. You did great. Yeah, no, it seems to be that's kind of what I'm doing. I have another one I'm recording tomorrow too, Supernatural Circumstances. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see, anything else I'm missing here? Denise just talking about what Ernie is doing to her. And let's see. I have a question. Well, Damien has a question. I don't know. I don't know anything. So I don't know if this is an easy question, hard question, whatever else. Damien asks, what's Char's view on the 13 zodiac signs, not the 12? We know, does this throw out the readings to the wrong signs we follow?
That's a great question, actually. I've kind of heard a little bit about it. Haven't dove into the 13 part of it yet. To me personally, there's several different types of astrology. So it's what do you resonate with and what makes sense. And I think it's kind of that way, just like when you pick like oracle cards or tarot decks or things like that, what do you connect with and make sense to you? I stick with the Western astrology with the 12 signs. It makes sense to me. I don't know that my brain can handle doing more than that, but I mean,
Sure.
there are astrologers that use like several different types of astrology and kind of get a full picture for you, which is very, very cool. But I'm only grasping onto one, so I don't have a lot of thoughts on it, but it is a really great question.
That's a good question. And it's certainly something that I'm going to be perfectly honest, I know nothing about. And that's what I love about this is, you're coming on, you're telling me stuff I didn't know. Folks like Damien coming on, telling me stuff that I don't know. It's really cool to kind of be able to learn some stuff, and that there's so many people who love this and that they follow it very closely. You mentioned in the last break about retrogrades, and I've come to hate that word. And what is a retrograde? Because we always talk about Mercury in retrograde.
Yes, and Mercury retrograde is coming up here, I think, on the 25th, so it's coming up quickly again.
That's the
So
same day of the inch of snow. Is that the same day of the inch of snow? I'm
that's
wondering.
tomorrow.
Anyway,
I
so
know.
sorry I interrupted you.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
Yeah, well, luckily I don't have any more sound effects to throw your way. So retrograde.
So retrograde is basically the planet doesn't actually move backwards, but what happens is it comes in alignment with the Earth, and it looks like it's going backwards in the sky. So if you tracked it, if you took a photo of like Mercury in the sky for every night while it was in retrograde, it would look like it was tracking backwards. It's just because we've caught up to the planet and Earth is pulling away from it. Think of it kind of like when you're at a stoplight and the car next to you moves and it looks like it's going backwards and moving and you're not. It's kind of that whole concept.
Oh,
So
wow.
what happens though is it kind of pulls the energy and it kind of shifts things in, and we say things go backwards with the planet's energy. So Mercury being the ruler of communication, and that means any communication. So it could be emails, flights, cars, computers, phones, contracts, anything that has to do with communication. Mercury rules over communication. So when it goes retrograde, some things might not get said, missed flights, car issues, don't sign contracts, things like that. And so it's just one of those times where it doesn't mean your life has to stop, but it's more or less the lesson is to stop and refocus, rethink, relook at things, take the re out of retrograde and redo whatever it is that planet is telling you about. So it's just kind of getting you to stop and focus and look at it. Now, then you add in the signs in it. So then you got whatever that zodiac sign that Mercury is retrograde in adds that flavor of element to it as well. So Mercury retrograde is always going to be different because it's in a different sign usually all the time. So, and I think this time the Mercury retrograde we have coming up is actually going to be in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius can also be kind of spontaneous. So this is kind of where you just get impulsive and maybe might want to do impulsive things and stuff like that, jump to things. So you just might want to take a breath, kind of breathe a little bit, kind of like not jump into things. It could also just be, losing things and like losing your temper or just kind of like this unexpected kind of stuff. So just being mindful during this time for this one.
And isn't it always said like during Mercury retrograde, don't get back, don't reach out to like an ex.
Oh, yes.
You try not to sign any contracts. So what you're saying too, I mean, because I'm sure a lot of us will, when we know we're in Mercury retrograde, it heightens our own belief that, if a pen falls off a table, we're like, oh, Mercury retrograde. We're adding to it, but there really is something to it though, right?
It's meant to help you. They're all life lessons. These are your life lessons. These are the things they're supposed to be helping you and teaching you and showing you. And so it just, I'm terrible at typing. I have so many typos and everything. So Mercury retrograde to me, I know, right? Makes me slow down even more because I'm more hyper aware that I should be paying more attention to it, which I probably should every day. But I just kind of, need to like slow down and rethink. And so I don't reply as quick and I don't jump into things as quickly. And Mercury, I'm a Virgo, so Mercury rules Virgo. So anytime Mercury goes retrograde, I kind of feel it beforehand. It, like things start I saged my phone today because it was just being chaos. So there's that.
Was it literally were you just like
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's enough. We're done now. So, so that's kind of the whole thing. And what the big thing in astrology that's happening is today, actually, there's a really big aspect that happened today. So, we've been in Capricorn craziness for about 20 years. And Capricorn is very much about ruling structures, governments, things, corporations, things like that. And all of the planets have been retrograding in Capricorn recently. And it's been kind of crazy. But today, the last planet moved out of Capricorn and they're all moving into Aquarius now. So, which is good. And Pluto is a sign of death and rebirth. So these last few years, if you're feeling how everything is hitting you hard, like everything's breaking down, look at the government systems, look at everything that's just been like gut punches left and right, left and right, left and right. It's just bam, 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 all this stuff. We're moving out of that finally, at least in the Capricorn aspect of it all. Now, what it means though, is it's going into the cardinal signs. So I think it's cardinal signs. I might be wrong on that. Please don't hate me if I am. But so what happens is it moves into Aquarius, which lucky you, Greg, you're in Aquarius. So now all these planets are going to be retrograding for you. So they're going to be affecting you in different ways because they're going to hit you first because you're in Aquarius. Right. Well, and there's some things, like depending on where the planets are in your chart, where it's going to affect you and how it's going to work. But basically what's happening and what Maria's put out is those people that are, I think I'm trying to figure out, look at my notes here where she had it. So Aquarius, Leos, Scorpios, and Tauruses are going to feel this Aquarius energy more than anything, especially when Pluto moves. And so this time it's going to be for like the next 20 years. And again, remember planet Pluto is about death and rebirth. Mm-hmm. So you might be looking at a total life shift, a total life change. So this might be a good time for you to figure out where all those planets are and what that means for you and where they're going to be shifting and changing so that you can be prepared and look at that and have that expectation, knowing that that's going to be happening. So, everything is shifting and changing. And so basically too, like I said, Capricorn was practical, it's ambitious, structured, reliable, focused on achieving long-term goals. So it's really hitting things hard. And then Aquarius is kind of more independent, intellectual, humanitarian, innovative, and more progressive. So we're kind of been working on breaking things down, but we're moving into the building things up. But it doesn't mean it's going to be easy either. It's still going to be a challenge, but it's just going to be different energy in regards to it.
Okay.
So, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Now, it does, but it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to kind of take in. A couple first of all, a statement, and Chuck says Pluto is a Mickey Mouse planet, so we're going to ban him from the show here. Did you get that? Do you get that, Char?
I've heard
Pluto
that.
is a Mickey Mouse planet. Oh, okay. So it's not funny for an astrologer who's been doing this for a while. I get it. Okay. I'm thinking that I'm enjoying it over here, quite frankly. But then again, that's, Chuck and I have the same sense of humor. But he does ask the question. I want to get the break here in a second, but he does ask the question. So is this officially the dawning of the age of Aquarius?
It is. It is. It's a whole new shift.
Did he redeem himself with that question then, at least?
Yeah.
A little bit. Sorry, Chuck. It's not a full on. So very interesting. I want to talk more about that. There's other things that I know that other people want to talk about and get to. So why don't we go ahead, take our next break? When we come back, continue talking about astrology. I'm really enjoying this. Some of it's still over my head, but Char Savoie is here and she's helping out with this. This is fantastic. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. What you wear is important. It should be fun, creative, and expressive of your own personality. At Grady Gear Company, we believe that clothing is more than just fabric and threads. It's a form of self-expression and a way to stand out from the crowd. Grady Gear is more than just a clothing brand. We're a community. We're here to inspire and motivate you to embrace your true self. We are a locally owned small business who do custom clothing orders too. Find us at GradyGearCompany.com. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We are going to see the return of author Paul Blake Smith, and we're going to be talking about the JFK assassination conspiracy. We had someone on a year ago, and they talked about it in a way that it's impossible for it to be a conspiracy at all. But Paul Blake Smith and many others have come up with, bring forth some stuff that, something to think about, and we're going to be going through it tomorrow. And November obviously is November 22nd is going to be that's going to be the 61st anniversary of the assassination. So we're going to be talking about that, and should be very interesting. And like I mentioned on the show last night, Paul is really good about just putting out the facts, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. Right now, though, we are with Char Savoie, owner of Charvinity. We've been talking about astrology, and it's been really fascinating. I've been really enjoying it. Damien says that Char is cool, definitely done her homework. Appreciates you sharing with us all. So that's nice.
Oh, thank you. I did find this one thing that I thought kind of compared the shift from Capricorn to Aquarius that I just wanted to share, because I thought it kind of made it make a little bit more sense. So I'm just going to read it exactly how it is, because I don't think I can say it any better. So it says, when Pluto is considered restricted in Capricorn, it can manifest as an extreme focus on power, structure, societal hierarchies, and the fear of change, leading to a stifling sense of control and potential oppressive behaviors. And while Pluto is restricted in Aquarius, it can manifest in a resistance to collective action, a fear of radical change, or an inability to embrace new ideas and revolutionary movements, so often resulting in isolation of detachment from social progress. So you can see they're kind of the same. And so basically what it's also saying is the Capricorn focuses on the established power dynamics and control within existing systems, which we've been seeing that for a few years now, really intensely anyways. And then when it goes into Aquarius, it focuses on the societal structures and the collective good, potential leading to rebellion against the outdated systems. So this is kind of where it starts to shift from the powers that be to the collective people. And it can be restrictive. Capricorn can be restricted for traditional values and authority figures, where Aquarius might manifest as fear of being swept up in a large-scale change or reluctant to join movements. So again, it's just kind of about finding yourself. Where do you align? Where do you want to be? And then finding people to align yourself with. It's not about, a big all-out fight or anything else, but finding your values. We've had the breakdown, we've had the things shift and change. I think it's pretty obvious that we've seen people come out on where they stand on several different things that are happening around the world. And so now is the time to action. how are you gonna, like, what are you gonna do about it? We can't
Yeah.
always change everything around the world, but we can change how we feel and what we do with ourselves, and that's the important part.
That makes a lot of sense. That's very interesting. And one of the things I was thinking about in the last segment when we're talking about that Pluto leaving Capricorn and it took 20 years, or the fact that Pluto for Aquarius is another 20 years, and we think to ourselves, that's for us it's a quarter of our lives or something, something along there. But in the grand scheme of the universe, these phases, these shifts are blinks of the eye, aren't they? I mean, it's just
Right.
amazing the perspective that goes with that.
Right, absolutely. And the thing about too is so you can do a natal chart on a person, you can do a natal chart on an event. And I think we've talked about this before. We're in the Pluto retrograde or the Pluto return of the United States of America. So when they signed the Constitution back in 1776, Pluto was in Capricorn. And so it takes 248 years to go all the way back into Capricorn again. So we'll never see Capricorn again in Pluto.
Wow.
So what was happening during the time of the Constitution being signed? We were birthing a country. We're rebelling against this and that. And so we've come full circle again, and you can see where some of that energy is there again. The trick is with these retrogrades, especially with that one, is did we learn our lessons? Did we fix what was broken? Did we change? Did we do enough to not have to learn that lesson again? And so that's where the retrogrades come into play. And when you can kind of start to understand what their energy is and what the lessons is, if you lean into it, even if it's painful, the part of it then is you don't have to do that lesson as hard next time.
And it's interesting because we go from talking about it for our own personal growth to it's a collective. There's more to it than just that's really interesting. And it makes me also ask the question that when tomorrow we're talking about the JFK assassination or the Lincoln assassination. After those have happened, as time passed, have folks like you looked at those events and in retrospect been able to kind of see clues that point to those events and those outcomes?
You can. Again, that gets really in depth. Like I know Maria can do all of that. I try not to, because sometimes I don't want to know certain things. I mean, there's a lot you can know that I really don't want to know sometimes.
Right.
But and you're right, as far as like the personal stuff. So like Mercury, Venus, and Mars are close to Earth, and so they tend to be more introspective for ourselves. And then you get to the outer planets, and they're more of a collective because they're larger and on a greater scale. So there are more personal planets and they are collective planets, but they all kind of affect us in some way. But, so the collective stuff, again, if it's something that, you have to look at it internally as well, because that's the only way we're going to fix the collective is we all work on it together and we all do the work together. But usually Mercury, Venus, and Mars hit you a little bit more directly in your personal life. The other planets will hit you more on the collective scale.
That's interesting. Gosh. So coming up, we talked about basically going into the age of Aquarius. We're talking about how things are changing. What about just, is there any sort of general just general astrology stuff that we can look forward to beyond that? Or is that basically it? I'm kind of talking more of collective than anything else, because regardless of where you stand, say politically or whatever else, it's been a journey, right? It's been tumultuous. It's been a lot for everybody.
It's been a lot. I don't think we're quite out of the woods yet. We still have a lot to go. We have some cleanup work to do. We have some other things to do. There's some more shifting and changing on different levels. So again, where does Aquarius fall in your natal chart? What house is it in? That's where you're going to start to feel it all. So I think mine is in my 4th house, which is the house of family. So that's where I'm going to feel all my shifts and change coming up. So wherever Aquarius is in your chart, that's the area of your life where things might be the most seen, that you can see things happening. So like those outer planets, they're going to be hitting Aquarius quite a bit when they go retrogrades. Like Mercury is in Sagittarius. Mercury goes retrograde 3 to 4 times a year, so it's always in a different zodiac sign. So
Sure.
it'll be different, and Venus and Mars might rotate around to something different too. But the outer planets are the ones that are going to hit Aquarius.
How long does this next round of Mercury retrograde, how long does that last for us? Do you know?
Mercury retrograde is usually only about 21 days. So I think it starts on the 25th and it ends on the 15th. It does have what they call a shadow period before and after of about 2 weeks. Some people feel it, some people don't. Again, I'm a Virgo. Virgos and Geminis, Mercury is your ruling planet. So you might feel it ahead of time. I always feel it ahead of time. I always know. And like usually when it leaves, it's like 3 days after, it's one little like, and one more thing. And it comes back for one more kick of, whatever. So
Well,
I already feel it.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure people who are extremely sensitive and have, I mean, that really can play havoc, doesn't it?
Yes, as I'm spewing water everywhere.
It is an interview about you, so I mean, forgive me for thinking that you would be ready to answer questions, but that's okay. We don't I can answer for you.
No, I just started choking. Sorry. I'm sorry. What was the question
I love it.
again?
I'm sorry. I was just choking, Greg. Just leave me alone. No. I don't even know anymore what it was. No, I was going to say that folks like you who are extremely sensitive, that you're going to really feel like you're going to feel that shadow period. You're going to feel all these shifts and stuff on pretty much a pretty big scale.
Well, and the funny thing about it is I think I pay more attention to it. So obviously I know what's happening, but I think we all feel it on some level. We just don't understand it or we don't know what's happening. And maybe it's not really happening to you, but the people around you, and it's affecting them. And that's where astrology can be helpful too, knowing that this period of time, like I'll just use an example, Aquarius, something's going to happen in Aquarius, like, oh, this might be a really hard time for Greg, just know that, he might need extra help, or just reach out and see if he needs anything, or today's a hot day for Greg. I am not going to reach out and say hi, whatever it might be. So, but just knowing that about the people around you can be very helpful, because then it doesn't end up being personal. You just know that's just how the energy works.
And it's, I suppose too, like you said, helpful. And when someone might be in a perpetual bad mood and you just don't understand why, are you taking it personally or whatever, it's that whole thing of like,
right,
what's happening around. And I really like I like the explanation too of like, they may not understand it as well. It might be also misinterpreted as something else. There's it seems to be a lot of small complexities to this as well, which can confuse the situation more, I'm sure.
Right. Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's just like the moon. We know the full moon affects things all the time. I mean, there's evidence of that. It's like, the hospitals and the jails and everything else, they increase energies. There's more babies born during a full moon. And like, we just know that affects, it's the same kind of energy pull on everything. It just affects differently, and if you just understand it, you can understand what's happening around you. Everything is energy, right? So the more we understand energy, the more we understand what's going on. And so, like with Maria, her telling me little tidbits of things that I'm going through, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just hang on. I got a little bit longer to go, and there's certain aspects coming up in my chart that I'm looking at that, like, man, if that hits me, that might be a little bit of a challenge. What can I do ahead of time to make it not be a challenge?
Absolutely. We have about a minute and a half left. Damien asked the question, do you have coping strategies that help you through, like shielding or tinfoil hats, etc.? I like the idea of tinfoil hats, quite honestly.
You know what? If tinfoil hats make you happy, go for it. I think if you just, like I said, it's all energy. If you understand what the energy is that's coming at you, if you just know a planet's going retrograde, you can Google, what does that mean? Like, I'll use me as an example, Virgo. Mercury's going retrograde in November. What does it mean for Virgo? I can find out what's going to happen for me, or you can follow somebody like Maria Shah, who will send you out information every week about what's going on with the energies. So there's lots of things to do. It's just, you don't have to know astrology, but if you just understand energy, it'll start to make a little bit of sense.
I like it. And also, Damien, I like the idea of like official Mercury retrograde tinfoil hats. and we're going to sell those along with the GhostBox Radio shirts. As we wrap up here, once again, Char, you have an event on December 7th and 8th in conjunction with the Maria Shaw Fairs as well. And so once again, to go and see who's speaking and get more information about the events, where should they check it out at?
You can go to charvinityfairs.com, find it there, or you can find on Facebook, you can find Charvinity Fairs Facebook page, or just Charvinity, and it's all over the place.
And it is in a good way as well, because what I really like about what you're doing is that you're really showcasing the people who are not only speaking but are practitioners there, and it's so nice because it's always important that everyone feels like that they're part. It's like it's teamwork. It's not just headliners or anything like that, and I always have loved that cohesiveness that you bring to your event. So I'm really excited. I'm so excited for the December event, and I missed out on October, but this is gonna be a lot of fun. This is gonna be really cool.
I'm super excited. I would love to see everybody there. Come join us. And if, like I said, if you're really interested in astrology, Maria's got her 2025 look ahead, and it's really important to get that information.
And that's something too that folks, we've been talking to Char, but yeah, definitely you got to go see what Maria Shaw is doing, and especially the crossover gallery. It's a great weekend. So please go check it out. Charvinityfairs.com, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Please check it out. Char, thank you so very much. This was really informative tonight. I absolutely loved it.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
We'll have you on again. Everyone, we'll be back tomorrow talking about the JFK assassination conspiracy. Have a great night, everyone.